Hey, what's up you guys? It's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to go into the second part of the extra bits at the end of One of Us is Lying. This one is called the Bayview Four. Where are they now? So let's get right into this. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, please click off of the video now. You have been warned. Excuse me. Maeve. Cooper's hand cups the remote, pointing it toward a frozen television screen. So we're really doing this? We have to, right? Rowan says. Everybody else is going to watch it. We might as well know what they're talking about. My sister sits across from me in our basement media room, curled up against her boyfriend in the corner of an overstuffed sofa. Nate's arm is around her shoulder, his hand absolutely playing with a lock of her hair. He looks as usual, like he couldn't care less what Michael Powers has to say. But when he has to be a little bit curious, plus we need to see Addie's interview. Nate shakes his head. Still can't believe you agreed to talk to that guy. Addie makes a face. I had to. They were totally going to use the washed-up beauty queen angle with me just because I'm not in college like the rest of you. It's sexist. Also false, Rowan says, leaning her head on Nate's shoulder. She's been at Yale for less than 3 months. But it's been a rocky road for those two already. Lots of long-distance arguments and even a brief breakup that lasted until this afternoon when Nate asked me not to pick her up at the airport for Thanksgiving break so he could. I haven't had a chance to talk with Rowan alone since then, but I'm assuming it went well since she's practically on his lap now. Still, I have a feeling that it's going to be a long year for them. There's nothing wrong with taking time off, Rowan continues. Agreed, I say, and my sister narrows her eyes. She doesn't mean for me. She's been sending me college brochures ever since she left for Yale, and she's deeply disappointed every time she asks for an update and learns they're still stacked unopened in the corner of my room. I'm a junior, I keep reminding her. Bro and I are only a year apart in age, but I'm 2 years behind her in school because I was in and out of hospitals for half my childhood. Homework wasn't exactly a priority when I was battling leukemia. That's the perfect time to be thinking about your future, Rowan always says back. I can tell from the look she's giving me now that we are very obviously going to have a discussion about this as soon as she manages to peel herself away from Nate. Cooper's boyfriend Chris grabs a handful of popcorn from the bowl between them. It's very common to take a gap year in Europe, he says before popping a kernel in his mouth. I would have done it myself if I hadn't moved here. Don't pretend you've ever been tempted to slack, Mr. Pre-Med, Addie says, pushing a lock of purple hair out of her eye. No one's buying it. Cooper is still holding the remote control in midair. He clears his throat loudly, scanning the room with an air of barely suppressed impatience. Y'all are the most easily distracted bunch of people I've ever known. The question remains, are we watching this damn thing or not? Well, we have it queued up. We have popcorn. Addie shakes the plastic bowl in her lap. Might as well. Cooper presses the button and lowers his arm. The screen unfreezes, and a well-dressed man behind a chrome desk flashes dazzling white teeth. Good evening, and thank you for joining this special Thanksgiving edition of Mike Hill Powers Investigates. I'm Mike Hill Powers, and tonight I'll be following up on our top investigation of last year. Welcome to the Bayview Four. Where are they now? 4 quick videos flash on the screen. Handsome, square-jawed Cooper winding up to hurl a blistering fastball. Addie, her vibrant purple hair framing delicate pixie features, striding down a sun-dappled street. My sister rocking a sexy nerd look in her glasses and a loose ponytail, clutching an armload of books as she exits a red brick building, and Nate astride a parked motorcycle, pulling off his helmet to reveal that bad angle face and dangerous smirk. No wonder the media was obsessed with them last year. Even in candid shots, they're all ridiculously camera ready. They aren't any pictures of Chris or me, thank God. We're honorably members only of the Bayview Four, although I'm sure we'll be mentioned at some point. Chris ups the romance factor, and I'm here for pathos. The sad little sister who nearly died of cancer, sending Rowan down a relentless path of overachievement to compensate. It's a story that's been repeated so many times, I've come to believe it myself. I'm a prop in my sister's intensely dramatic life. Background to her center stage. Nothing I do or say on my own will ever be as interesting. When the camera returns to Mike Hill Powers, he's wearing an expression of deep gravatas. Last fall, The world watched a sensational, disturbing mystery unfold as Simon Keller, a high school senior in Bayview, California, took his own life and framed 4 fellow students for his death. He says, while our Emmy Award-winning coverage explored the case in depth, including the personal and cultural factors that led to such an unfathomable tragedy, today's special focuses on how the 4 affected students have moved on, or not. Hey, Addie sits up straighter, frowning. He better not be talking about me. New images flash of a baseball stadium downtown Bayview and a leafy college campus as Michael Powers summarizes in a few sentences what he'll spend the next hour discussing. Cooper Clay accepted a full baseball scholarship at California State University, Fullerton, where he's now training for a season that opens next February. Cooper continues to receive interest from major league teams, but he has been candid with his concerns about how receptive they'll be to an openly gay player. After retaking the chemistry course she cheated on and immersing herself in extra credit classes and community service activities, Browen Rojas was granted admission to Yale University. She is currently a freshman majoring in political science and has expressed interest in a law career. Adelie Prentice was a key witness in the conviction of her former boyfriend Jake Rodian on attempted murder charges earlier this fall. While Rodian awaits sentencing, Addie has deferred college to embark on a journey of self-discovery and is currently working at a friend's family restaurant. Addie, who'd been leaning forward in her chair with the furrowed brow, relaxes and plucks a kernel of popcorn from her bowl. That could have been a lot worse, she says. Michael continues. All criminal charges against Nate McCauley, including drug charges made prior to his false arrest for Simon Keller's murder, have been dropped. Nate now works for a local company, Myers Construction, while taking business classes at community college, according to sources. He and Browen Rojas remain romantically involved. I glance at my sister, who looks uncomfortable. Nate hates when the media talks about the two of them, but he just gives a half smile. I'd suspect Browen of being the source, but she's never been able to resist a call for Michael Powers if she and Nate hadn't gotten back together mere hours ago. And then Michael's face freezes, his mouth open. We all look at Cooper, who raised the remote again to pause the program. I changed my mind, he says. I lived this. I'm still living it. I don't need to watch it. Thank Christ, Nate says. He rubs the hand that's not tangled in Browen's hair over his jaw. Co-signed. He and Cooper exchange glances, and it strikes me that while the two of them have the least in common of anybody in the room and would probably never hang out with just each other, they almost always agree. Addie shrugs. I'm gonna watch it eventually, she says. I can't not, but it doesn't have to be now when Browen just got back. It's been ages since we all did something together. You guys want to go to Glenn's Diner instead? Browen looks torn. She deals in information and likes having all the facts. It's going to bug her that there are people walking around Bayview who have seen the Michael Powers special before she has, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't want her relationship with Nate analyzed on screen while she's sitting next to him either. All right, she says, as her eyes lingering so long on the frozen television that I know we'll be watching it before the night is over. Good. Maybe it'll distract her from the time to get your life on track conversation that's headed my way otherwise. There are 2 units of time, regular time and time spent waiting for your sister while she's preparing to separate for an afternoon from the boyfriend she hasn't seen for months. The latter must move backward because I'm pretty sure I've been parked in the driveway of the rambling old house where Nate rents a room since yesterday. Okay, slight exaggeration, but I've been waiting almost 20 minutes. Browen and I are going to be late for lunch with Eli Kleinfetter, which would be a bigger problem if I really believed Eli was going to take a break to eat with us, even on Black Friday, when the rest of this country is either shopping or sleeping off yesterday's turkey. He's at work. Browen finally emerges, buttoning her light jacket against the brisk breeze as she crosses the driveway toward our Volvo. Nate picked her up at 10 o'clock this morning so they could go to San Diego Museum of Art, which has an exhibit of German Expressionism that Browen's been dying to see. That's the story she told our parents anyway. Brush your hair, young lady, I say in mock severity as she slides into the passenger seat. That's the worst case of bedhead I've ever seen. Browen turns bright red, glancing into the sun visor mirror as she buckles her seatbelt. It's windy out, she says defensively. I turn the keys in the ignition. How were the Germans? Her mouth twitches. Expressive, she says, and we both start laughing as I pull out of the driveway. Browen only brought her phone with her, so she digs a brush out of my bag and pulls it through her tangled hair. So everything's good with Nate again? I ask. Understatement of the year. Apparently it couldn't be more obvious how they spent the last 2 hours and 20 minutes. Better than good, she says happily. The breakup was a blip. We just had to adjust the whole long distance thing. I meet her eyes before shifting into drive and can almost see her force herself not to gush. If I'm aware of how opposite our lives sometimes seem, she's even more so. Do you ever think you might want to get back together with Knox? No, we're better off as friends. Broa makes a little sound in her throat, like she's not sure whether to believe me, but it's the truth. Knox Myers and I were in the play together last spring and started going out over the summer. He was my first boyfriend, and we were both so inexperienced that it took us way too long to realize we weren't actually attracted to one another. One of these days I hope I'll find that kind of chemistry my sister has with Nate, but Knox definitely wasn't. I'm just glad we got through the awkward and managed to stay friends. I need as many as I can get now that Browen has abandoned me for Yale. Will he be at Until Proven today? Browen asks. No, I say, amused. Knox interns at Eli's nonprofit legal firm, taking the spot Browen vacated when she left Bayview, but he wouldn't be there over a holiday even if he weren't visiting his grandparents in Kansas. Not everyone is as much of a workaholic as you and Eli. Traffic is light, and we pull into an empty space in front of Eli's office building. Less than 20 minutes later, the coffee shop in the lobby is open, serving a sparse line of customers. I always get a little chill when we pass the coffee shop because it's where we finally figured out what happened with Simon last year. But it holds happier memories too. I poke Browen in the arm en route to the elevator. Remember how moody Eli got over the first time he saw Ashton? Browen laughs. Oh my god, yes. He almost tripped over his own feet. She lowers her voice to imitate Eli's. Oh, hi, you must be Addie's sister. So smooth. And Ashton's all, I'm sorry, have we met? Who would have thought that they'd still be going strong a year later? I say we step into the elevator and I press the up button. Eli and Ashton are two of my favorite people on their own, and somehow they're even better together. The elevator stops on the 3rd floor, the doors slide open, and we're greeted by a pungent smell. Browen wrinkles her nose and looks over. What is that? One of those hair clubs for men moved in, I say, inclining my head toward the door as we pass. Glad that happened after I left, she mutters. The Until Proven office is a lot less crowded than usual, which only a handful of people scattered across the maze of desks. I spot Eli leaning against his, chatting with a young woman with long braids pulled into a ponytail. His face lights up with a big grin when he spies my sister, and he immediately starts across the room toward us. Browen, hey, welcome back, he says, engulfing her in a hug, then gives me one for good measure, even though I saw him last week. He looks the same as ever, wrinkled button-down shirt with rolled-up sleeves, a cloud of curly hair that defies gravity, and bright dark eyes behind glasses. Great to see you guys. Let me introduce you to someone. He gestures toward the woman he was talking to, who approaches us with a wide smile. This is Bethany Okino, our new paralegal. Bethany, this is my former intern extraordinaire, Browen Rojes, and her tech wizard sister, Maeve. It's nice of him to give me an honorific, I guess. Even if I've let my computer skills get rusty since I used them to track Simon last year. Bethany shakes our hands in turn with a quick, firm grip. Great to meet you both. I've heard a lot about you. I'm almost ready for lunch, Eli says, surprising me. I was 90% sure he'd blow us off. I just need 5 minutes for a quick call with Bethany's professor. We have a big case brewing, and I might bring her on as a consultant. Eli, it's fine. Bethany protests. You have plans. We can talk to my professor another time. We don't mind, I say. We're not in a rush. If you're sure, Bethany says doubtfully, but Browen and I both wave her off. 5 minutes, I promise, Eli says, as he and Bethany head for a conference room, if that. We're just laying the groundwork for a longer discussion next week. We'll see him in half an hour, Browen predicts, settling herself into the chair behind the desk. I pull an empty chair beside her and sit down with a loud sniff rooting through my bag for a tissue. I've had a lingering cold for more than a week, and I suck in a frustrated breath when I come up empty. You don't happen to have a Kleenex, do you? I ask Browen. No, I don't have anything. I left them in a hurry this morning. Yeah, you did, I tease, kicking her foot. She makes a face at me. Try the top left drawer. That's where Eli usually keeps them. I pull it open, but no luck. It's nearly empty except Browen. I kick her again, pulling the drawer until it's fully extended, and lower my voice to a non-whisper. Is that what I think it is? She leans across me, eyes widening as she spots the small black velvet box. No, she breathes, but yes, I think we've both watched enough jewelry store commercials to recognize an engagement ring box when we see it. I can feel a grin start to take over my face. Should we look inside? I ask. Of course not. That would be a violation of Eli's privacy. Browen shoots me a lofty look and adjusts her glasses. We're better than that. Right, I agree. Much better. We both look up at the glass-walled conference room near the office entrance where Eli and Bethany are hunched over a phone in the middle of the table. Anyway, it might just be cufflinks or something. Sure, Browen says, because Eli wears those all the time. We're silent for a few beats, staring into the drawer. I really want to look, I finally say in a low voice. Me too, she admits, and I reach over to grab the box. Just a tiny peek. I promise, lifting the lid. We both gasp when we see what's inside. It's an engagement ring. I'm almost sure, but not the standard diamond and platinum dazzler you'll see all over Bayview. The stone has a gorgeous blue hue, and it's set in a simple matte gold bezel dotted with tiny gemstones of the same color. It's so pretty, Browen exclaims, taking the box from me and turning it so the jewels sparkle under the office lights. Is that a diamond, I ask? I think so, Browen squints at it. A raw one? What does that mean? It's not shaped or polished, Browen says. More organic, not processed. I blink at her, startled. Is she checking out engagement rings already? I didn't think that was in her 5-year plan she laid out for herself when she graduated high school. The 10-year one, maybe. How do you know this stuff? She shrugs. We're studying the gem industry in my econ class. Knowing Eli, this diamond is probably conflict-free. You've got that right, says a voice. Browen gasps, slams the box closed, and throws it back into the drawer like a 3-year-old caught stealing cookies. Eli stands in front of us, arms crossed. Bethany is nowhere in sight. I don't have to look at my sister to know her face is red as mine. Sorry, we murmur in unison, eyes down. You two are unbelievable, Eli complains. I can't leave you alone for 5 minutes. But, congratulations, I offer in a small voice. She hasn't said yes yet. Eli holds up a hand when I open my mouth to protest. Save the reassurances, please. Ashton's been down this road before. She's cautious, so if you could keep this to yourselves, I'd appreciate it. He narrows his eyes as we both nod vigorously, including Addie. It's up to Ashton about what she chooses to share. Okay, Browen says. When are you going to ask her? None of your business, Eli says shortly, then he swallows visibly. I feel a prickle of excitement. Eli and Ashton's a first official date, when she finally agreed that what they were doing and not just hanging out as friends was last Black Friday. It sticks in my mind because they debuted as an actual couple at the Cafe Contigo in downtown Bayview, where half the town congregates for Thanksgiving break. Cooper's best friend Louise's family owns the restaurant, and Addie is a waitress there now. Browen and I will be heading over after dinner along with most of our friends tonight because it's your 1-year anniversary, I exclaim before I can stop myself. Oh my god, yes, that must be it, Browen yelps. We high-five, our moment of shame entirely forgotten. Enough, Eli says in a threatening voice, but we can't take him seriously when he's blushing that hard. Come on, get away from that desk right now if you still expect me to take you to lunch. I flash him my worst angelic smile as I get to my feet. Our treat, I say sweetly. It's the least we can do. Cafe Contigo is packed by 9 o'clock that night. It's an Argentinian cafe with bright blue walls and a tin ceiling. The day's special written across a large blackboard with colorful chalk. Mr. Santos, Luis's father, helped us pull a bunch of tables together, and now it's a Bayview High reunion on one side of the room. I'm sitting between Luis and Cooper, who have been reliving last year's state baseball championship for the last 15 minutes in excruciating detail. I miss Chris, I sigh, to no one in particular. He's visiting family tonight, so I can't distract Cooper from nonstop sports talk. Luis nudges my shoulders with his. You want us to talk about that infield fly call again? I never seen you look so interested. I hold up my fork. I rather gouge my eyes out with this. Luis frowns. That makes no sense. You could still hear us. It's the principle, I say, as he adds, besides, your eyes are too pretty for that. I feel my cheeks get warm, and Cooper loudly asks, weren't you going to bring us more empanadas, Luis? I was, Luis says good-naturedly. He gets up to head for the kitchen, and I raise my brows at Cooper. Am I imagining things, or did you just chase Louis off like you're my dad? Cooper smiles sheepishly. Sorry, I love the guy, but he's such a dog. Besides, he knows you're not available. I pause, wondering if reminding Cooper that I am, in fact, available as one of the last month would make it sound like I'm interested in Louis. And whether that's true, before I can decide, Browen's arm shoots across the table and grabs my wrist. Maeve, she hisses, look. I follow her gaze to see Eli walking into Cafe Contigo alone. He sits down heavily at the only empty table in the place and folds his hands in front of him. Head bowed. Oh no, I say, lowering my voice to a frantic whisper. You don't think? What? Cooper asks, following our gaze. Nothing, Browen and I say together. Nate, leaning forward from his seat next to Browen, narrows his eyes. That's the most something sounding nothing I've ever heard, he says. He catches sight of Eli and adds, What's wrong with Eli? He looks like someone just told him he's not allowed to work weekends anymore. Nothing, Browen and I repeat. My stomach is legitimately full of lead for Eli, but I'm hoping it's not as bad as it looks. Maybe he chickened out, or maybe Ashton just said she needs more time. Surely she couldn't have flat out broken up with him, right? Addie, who had been deep in conversation with her friend Keeley on Cooper's other side, twists to face us. What are you guys talking about? She asks. Nate smirks. Nothing, apparently. That's right, I say. Just as Eli looks up and meets my eye, he lifts his shoulders and a deep sigh, then winks. The door flies open and Ashton bursts through in a gorgeous red dress, her pretty face glowing. Addie, she calls out. Addie, come here. She grabs Eli's hand and tucks him to his feet, and as Addie rises from her chair with a confused expression, What's up? She asks, squeezing behind Cooper and me. Browen is still holding my wrist. She shakes it, eyes popping behind her glass. Nate glances between us. Is this still nothing? He asks. Just wait, Browen says, as Ashton holds out her left hand to an approaching Addie. Addie grabs hold of it and screams, then flings her arms around Ashton and Eli in turn. My sister and I are grinning like fools, but we don't say a word until Addie turns in a general direction of our table and yells, They're engaged! She drags Ashton our way, and Eli follows as people get up and start crowding to see the ring. I rise and skirt around them, plucking at Eli's sleeve. What was with the hangdog face? I say in his ear. He grins. Ashton got a call from her mom right when we got here. She shooed me inside, so I figured I'd take the opportunity to mess with you guys. I almost had a heart attack, I admit. Serves you right for going through my stuff, he says, but he lets me hug him before I crane my neck to get a better look at the ring. It's even prettier out of the box, and you can tell from the way Ashton can't stop staring at it, it's exactly what she would have picked if she designed it herself. Cooper shakes Eli's hand, and Browen beams while she leans into Nate and listens to Ashton's excited chatter about possible wedding dates. It hits me then, what a difference a year makes. When we were here last Black Friday, everyone was subdued and quiet, still traumatized from what happened with Simon, and it looks as though things in Bayview are finally exactly as they should be. I'm sure they'll stay that way. What could possibly go wrong? That is the end of One of Us is Lying. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this book, and I will see you guys for the next book. Bye!